The Colorado morning air bit at my cheeks as I saddled Thunder, my faithful quarter horse. At 45, these dawn rides had become my sanctuary, a time when the world belonged just to us. The golden light painted the rolling hills in warm hues, and the silence was broken only by Thunder's steady breathing and the distant call of a meadowlark. I'd been making this same trail for 3 years now, ever since moving to this remote ranch outside Boulder. The path wound through open grassland before climbing into the foothills, offering breathtaking views of the Front Range. Thunder knew the route by heart. His ears pricked forward with anticipation as we set out. The morning felt different somehow, charged with an energy I couldn't quite place. Thunder seemed to sense it too, stepping more carefully than usual, his head turning occasionally toward the tree line. I attributed it to the approaching storm clouds gathering on the horizon, though they were still hours away. As we crested the first hill, I took a deep breath of the crisp mountain air, grateful for this peaceful moment before the day's responsibilities began. My small veterinary practice would be busy later, but for now, it was just Thunder and me against the vast Colorado wilderness. The trail ahead looked clear and inviting, winding through patches of golden aspen and evergreen. I settled deeper into the saddle, letting Thunder choose his pace as we headed toward our usual turnaround point near Rabbit Creek. Little did I know that this ordinary morning ride would become the most extraordinary wildlife encounter of my life, one that would test everything I thought I knew about the wild animals that shared this beautiful landscape with us. About 20 minutes into our ride, Thunder's ears suddenly swiveled backward, and I felt his muscles tense beneath me. I turned in the saddle to see what had caught his attention and froze. A small, tawny figure was trotting about 30 yards behind us, a Coyote Pup, no more than a few months old. My first instinct was concern. Coyote pups this young rarely ventured far from their den, especially not alone. This little one looked healthy enough from a distance, with a full coat and alert posture, but something about its behavior struck me as odd. Instead of the typical wariness wild animals showed toward humans and horses, this pup seemed almost determined. I gently pulled Thunder to a stop, expecting the pup to bolt at our sudden stillness. Instead, it sat down in the tall grass, tongue lolling out slightly, watching us with bright amber eyes. When I clicked my tongue to urge Thunder forward, the pup immediately stood and resumed following. "What do you think, boy?" I murmured to Thunder, who was eyeing our follower with obvious curiosity rather than alarm. Horses are excellent judges of threat levels, and Thunder's calm demeanor suggested this little coyote posed no danger. I tried changing direction, guiding Thunder off the main trail toward a cluster of boulders. The pup followed without hesitation, maintaining that same respectful distance. When I stopped again, it stopped. When I moved, it moved. This wasn't random behavior. This little one was deliberately following us. A chill ran down my spine that had nothing to do with the mountain air. In my years of veterinary practice and countless hours in these hills, I'd never seen anything like this. Wild animals, especially predators like coyotes, simply didn't behave this way around humans. Something was very, very wrong. For the next hour, our unusual procession continued through the wilderness. No matter what I tried, sudden direction changes, stopping for extended periods, even dismounting to make myself appear larger and more threatening, the Coyote Pup refused to abandon its mission. It maintained that same 30-yard distance with remarkable consistency, never approaching closer, but never falling behind. Thunder had completely relaxed into the situation, occasionally glancing back at our follower with what I could swear was amusement. Horses are prey animals with finely tuned survival instincts, yet my gelding showed no signs of stress or fear. If anything, he seemed curious about our persistent companion. The pup's behavior became increasingly purposeful as we traveled. Rather than the random wandering I might expect from a young animal, it moved with clear intent. When I tried to turn back toward home, the little coyote would position itself to block our path, sitting firmly in the grass and whining softly until I changed direction again. "You're trying to tell me something, aren't you?" I said aloud, feeling slightly foolish for talking to a wild animal. but those intelligent amber eyes seemed to understand every word. The pup's ears perked forward at my voice, and it let out a series of soft yips that sounded almost conversational. My veterinary training kicked in as I observed the pup more carefully. Its gait was normal, showing no signs of injury or illness. Its coat was thick and healthy, suggesting it had been well fed recently. But there was something in its posture, an urgency in the way it kept looking toward a specific direction, deeper into the wilderness, away from any human habitation. The morning sun climbed higher, and I realized we'd been traveling for much longer than my usual ride. Whatever this little one wanted to show me, it was leading us somewhere specific. As we ventured deeper into unfamiliar territory, my concern for the pup's welfare intensified. Young coyotes this age should be with their pack, learning essential survival skills from their parents and siblings. The fact that this little one was alone, actively seeking human help, suggested something had gone terribly wrong with its family. I'd studied coyote behavior extensively during my veterinary training. These intelligent canines are devoted parents, with both mother and father participating in raising their young. Pups typically stay close to the den until they're much older, venturing out only under strict parental supervision. For this youngster to be alone and desperate enough to approach humans meant its family was likely in serious trouble. The pup's persistence was becoming more urgent. Its soft whines had evolved into more insistent vocalizations, and it had begun making small darting movements toward a specific direction, northeast, toward a rocky outcropping I could see in the distance. Every time I hesitated or tried to turn back, the little one would block our path more determinedly. Thunder seemed to understand the situation better than I did. My usually headstrong horse had begun following the pup's lead without my guidance, responding to subtle changes in the coyote's direction and pace. It was as if they'd formed some kind of interspecies communication that bypassed my human understanding entirely. The terrain was becoming more challenging as we climbed toward the rocky area. Scattered boulders and fallen logs created natural obstacles, and I could hear the distant sound of running water, probably a creek or small stream. This was exactly the kind of environment where coyotes would establish their dens, hidden among the rocks with access to fresh water. My heart began to race as the implications became clear. Somewhere ahead, this pup's family was in trouble, and I was possibly their only hope for survival. The rocky outcropping loomed ahead, a jumbled maze of granite boulders and weathered sandstone formations. The pup's excitement was palpable now. Its tail wagged frantically, and it had begun making short sprints toward the rocks before circling back to ensure we were still following. I dismounted near a cluster of pine trees, tying Thunder's reins to a sturdy branch. The terrain ahead was too treacherous for horseback riding, with loose rocks and narrow passages between the boulders. The pup immediately ran ahead, then stopped and looked back at me expectantly, its message crystal clear. "Follow me. Hurry." My boots crunched on the gravelly ground as I picked my way carefully through the rock formation. The pup darted between boulders with the confidence of familiarity. This was definitely its home territory. I could hear water running somewhere nearby, and the air carried the earthy scent of a hidden creek. The little coyote led me deeper into the maze, its whines becoming more urgent with each passing moment. We climbed over fallen logs and squeezed between towering rock faces, following what appeared to be a natural pathway through the formation. The pup knew exactly where it was going. Suddenly, the sound I'd been dreading reached my ears, a low, pained whine echoing from somewhere ahead. It was deeper, more mature than the pup's vocalizations. An adult coyote in distress. My veterinary instincts kicked into high gear as I quickened my pace, following the increasingly frantic pup around a massive boulder. The scene that greeted me made my heart sink. In a narrow crevice between two large rocks, barely visible in the shadows, lay an adult female coyote. Even from a distance, I could see she was trapped, her hind leg caught beneath a fallen branch that had wedged itself tightly in the rocky gap. Her amber eyes, so similar to her pup's, fixed on me with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. The mother coyote's situation was worse than I'd initially realized. As my eyes adjusted to the shadowy crevice, I could see that the fallen branch wasn't just pinning her leg. It had created a complex trap. A rock slide, probably triggered by recent spring rains, had shifted the boulder above, wedging the branch so tightly that any movement only made the situation worse. She'd clearly been trapped for at least a day, possibly longer. Her tongue lolled from dehydration, and I could see the exhaustion in her eyes. Yet when her pup approached, she managed to lift her head, touching noses with the little one in a gesture so tender it brought tears to my eyes. The reunion was brief but profound. A mother's relief at seeing her baby safe, mixed with the desperation of knowing she couldn't protect or feed her young while trapped. The pup had been making this journey repeatedly, I realized, probably traveling back and forth between the den and wherever it had first encountered humans, searching desperately for help. The intelligence and determination of this young animal was staggering. It had somehow understood that humans might have the ability to help its trapped mother. I approached slowly, speaking in soft, reassuring tones. The mother's ears flattened against her head, but she didn't try to snap or snarl. Perhaps exhaustion had dulled her natural fear, or maybe she somehow understood that I represented her only chance of survival. Her pup positioned itself between us, not aggressively, but as if making introductions. Examining the trap from a safe distance, I could see this would require careful planning. The branch was thick, probably an old pine limb, and the rock slide had created a precarious balance. One wrong move could cause more rocks to shift, potentially crushing the trapped coyote or blocking the crevice entirely. I pulled out my phone, hoping for cell service. No signal. We were truly on our own out here, and this mother's life depended entirely on my ability to figure out a safe rescue plan. I spent several precious minutes studying the trap from every angle, my veterinary training helping me assess both the mechanical challenge and the animal's condition. The mother coyote watched my every movement with those intelligent amber eyes, and I found myself talking to her as I worked out a plan. "Okay, Mama, I'm going to get you out of here," I murmured, keeping my voice calm and steady. "Your little one did an amazing job finding help." The key was the boulder above. If I could shift it slightly, the pressure on the branch would ease enough to pull it free. But I needed leverage and something to wedge the rock safely. I made my way back to Thunder, grateful for the emergency kit I always carried. Among the supplies were a small folding shovel, rope, and a tire iron I used for trail maintenance. The pup followed my every step, seeming to understand that preparations were underway. When I returned to the crevice with my tools, the little one positioned itself near its mother's head, offering comfort through gentle nuzzling. Working carefully, I used the shovel to clear loose debris from around the boulder's base, creating space to position the tire iron as a lever. The rope would serve as both a safety line and a way to control the boulder's movement. Every action had to be precise. There would be no second chances. The mother coyote remained remarkably still as I worked, perhaps sensing that her survival depended on cooperation. Her breathing was labored but steady, and occasionally she would lick her pup's face, a gesture that kept my motivation high despite the physical challenges. After 20 minutes of careful preparation, I was ready. I positioned myself with the tire iron, took a deep breath, and began applying pressure. The boulder shifted slightly, and I heard the branch creak. The mother's ears perked forward. She could feel the pressure easing on her trapped leg. With one more careful push, the branch suddenly popped free, and the mother coyote was able to pull her leg to safety. The moment her leg was free, the mother coyote's transformation was remarkable. Despite her obvious exhaustion and the pain from her ordeal, her maternal instincts took over completely. She immediately began nuzzling her pup, checking every inch of the little one's body with the thoroughness only a worried parent could manage. The pup's joy was infectious. It wiggled and yipped, licking its mother's face and pressing against her side. The reunion was so intensely emotional that I found myself wiping away tears. In all my years as a veterinarian, I'd witnessed many animal reunions, but nothing quite like this raw display of family love in the wild. I maintained my distance, giving them space while keeping a careful eye on the mother's condition. Her trapped leg appeared to be bruised and stiff but not broken. She was putting weight on it gingerly, testing its strength. Dehydration was her most immediate concern, and I could hear the creek running nearby. As if reading my thoughts, the mother began moving slowly toward the sound of water, her pup staying close to her side. I followed at a respectful distance, ready to help if needed, but trying not to interfere with their natural behavior. They led me to a small, crystal-clear pool, fed by a mountain spring, perfect for drinking and cooling the mother's injured leg. I watched as she drank deeply, her pup waiting patiently for its turn. The little one kept looking back at me, and I swear there was gratitude in those amber eyes. This remarkable young animal had somehow understood that humans could help, had persisted despite every instinct telling it to avoid us, and had successfully saved its mother's life. But as the immediate crisis passed, I began to notice something troubling. The mother kept looking around anxiously, calling softly into the rocks. Her behavior suggested she was searching for something, or someone. My heart sank as I realized the truth. There were probably other pups, and they were still missing. The mother coyote's distressed calling confirmed my worst fears. She would take a few steps toward the creek, then stop and howl softly, her head tilted as she listened for a response. The pup that had found me joined in, adding its higher-pitched voice to the search. They were calling for siblings. I began searching the area more systematically, looking for signs of other young coyotes. The rocky terrain offered countless hiding places, small caves, crevices between boulders, and hollow logs where frightened pups might take shelter. The family had probably scattered when their mother became trapped, each young one seeking the safest hiding spot they could find. After 20 minutes of careful searching, I heard it. A faint whimpering coming from beneath a large fallen tree, about 50 yards from the original trap site. The tree had created a natural shelter against a rock face, and as I approached cautiously, I could see movement in the shadows beneath. 2 more pups, smaller than the one who had found me, huddled together in the makeshift den. They were clearly terrified, pressing themselves against the back wall of their hiding place. Unlike their brave sibling, these little ones had followed their instincts and hidden from danger. The mother heard them too, and began moving toward the fallen tree, calling softly to reassure her babies. The pup who had rescued her ran ahead, disappearing under the log to reunite with its siblings. Within moments, I could hear the sounds of a joyful family reunion. Soft whines, gentle yips, and what sounded remarkably like purring. But my relief was short-lived. As the family emerged from their hiding place, I could see that one of the smaller pups was limping badly. Its left front paw was swollen, and it couldn't put weight on it properly. The injury looked recent, probably sustained during the panicked scramble to hide when their mother first became trapped. Now I had a new dilemma. A wild coyote family with an injured pup, miles from any veterinary facility, and no way to transport them safely, even if I could convince them to accept help. I knew I couldn't handle this situation alone. The injured pup needed medical attention, and the entire family required monitoring to ensure they could survive together in the wild. Despite having no cell service, I remembered seeing a fire lookout tower about 2 miles back along the trail. There might be a radio there. Leaving the coyote family by the creek felt wrong, but I had no choice. I spoke softly to the mother, hoping she would understand that I was going for help. The brave pup who had found me seemed to sense my intention. It followed me partway back toward Thunder, then sat and watched as I mounted up for the fastest ride of my life. The lookout tower was staffed by Jake Morrison, a grizzled Forest Service veteran who'd been working these mountains for 30 years. When I burst into his small cabin, breathless and covered in rock dust, he took one look at my face and reached for his radio without asking questions. "We need Dr. Sarah Chen from the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center," I gasped, explaining the situation as Jake contacted the ranger station. Within minutes, we had a plan in motion. Dr. Chen would helicopter in with her mobile veterinary unit, while Jake coordinated with local wildlife officers to ensure the rescue was handled properly. The helicopter arrived 2 hours later, landing in a clearing near the rocky outcropping. Dr. Chen, A compact woman with kind eyes and steady hands listened intently as I led her team to the Coyote family. She brought specialized equipment for treating wild animals, tranquilizer guns, portable X-ray equipment, and a wealth of experience with coyote behavior. The family had remained by the creek, the mother keeping her injured pup close, while the other two explored their surroundings. When they saw our group approaching, the mother positioned herself protectively in front of her young, but she didn't flee. Perhaps she remembered that humans had helped her before. Dr. Chen worked with remarkable skill and patience, using a mild sedative to calm the injured pup long enough for examination. The X-rays showed a hairline fracture in the small bone, painful but treatable with proper care. The next few weeks became a delicate balance between providing necessary medical care and respecting the family's wild nature. Dr. Chen established a temporary monitoring station near the creek, far enough away to avoid disturbing the coyotes' natural behavior, but close enough to observe their recovery. The injured pup responded well to treatment. Dr. Chen had fitted it with a lightweight splint that would dissolve naturally over time, allowing the bone to heal while the family remained together in their territory. The mother proved to be an excellent patient advocate, keeping her injured youngster calm and ensuring it rested as much as possible. I found myself returning to the site daily, ostensibly to assist Dr. Chen, but really because I couldn't stay away. The bond I'd formed with this remarkable family felt too precious to abandon. The brave pup who had saved its mother always seemed to recognize me, sitting a little closer than its siblings and watching me with those intelligent amber eyes. The mother's recovery was equally impressive. Her trapped leg healed cleanly, and within a week she was moving normally again. More importantly, she was teaching her pups essential survival skills: how to hunt small prey, recognize danger, and navigate their rocky territory safely. Dr. Chen documented everything meticulously, creating a valuable record of coyote family dynamics and recovery patterns. But she also understood the emotional significance of what we were witnessing. In 30 years of wildlife rehabilitation, she told me one evening as we watched the family play by the creek, "I've never seen anything quite like this." That pup's decision to seek human help shows a level of intelligence and problem-solving that challenges everything we thought we knew about wild canine behavior. The trust between the family and our small team of observers grew gradually. They never approached us directly, but they no longer fled when we appeared. The mother would watch us calmly while her pups played, as if she understood we meant no harm. It was a privilege to witness their daily lives, the gentle discipline, the playful interactions, and the deep bonds that held this family together. 6 weeks after that life-changing morning ride, I sat on Thunder's back overlooking the rocky outcropping where it all began. The Coyote family had thrived beyond all expectations. The injured pup was running and playing normally, its fracture completely healed. All 3 youngsters had grown noticeably larger and more confident, their hunting skills improving daily under their mother's patient guidance. Dr. Chen had officially concluded the monitoring program the previous week, declaring the family fully recovered and self-sufficient. The temporary research station had been dismantled, leaving no trace of human intervention in their wild home. As it should be. But the impact of this experience would last forever. The scientific community was buzzing about the documented case of a wild coyote actively seeking human assistance, behavior that challenged long-held assumptions about wildlife intelligence and adaptability. Dr. Chen was preparing papers for publication, and the story had attracted attention from researchers worldwide. For me, the changes ran much deeper than scientific curiosity. Every morning ride now carried the possibility of wonder, the knowledge that these mountains held countless stories of survival, intelligence, and family bonds that rivaled anything in the human world. I'd learned to see the landscape through different eyes, recognizing it not as empty wilderness, but as home to remarkable creatures living complex, emotional lives. The brave little pup had taught me that intelligence and love transcend species boundaries. Its desperate mission to save its mother had required not just courage, but sophisticated problem-solving, recognizing that humans possessed capabilities its family lacked, overcoming instinctual fear to approach us, and persisting despite every natural impulse to flee. As Thunder and I turned toward home, I caught a glimpse of movement among the rocks. 4 tawny figures moved gracefully through their territory. A family reunited, healed, and thriving. The smallest one paused and looked in my direction, and I could swear I saw recognition in those amber eyes before it disappeared into the shadows. Some encounters change us forever. This was mine.